What does it mean when two names that once defined a generation appear in the same city again, at the same time, for the same project? Shanghai became more than a location this time. It became a signal. Wang and Shen Yue were both in Shanghai for the in 2026, and with that quiet confirmation, a familiar electricity returned to the air. No dramatic announcement. No carefully staged reveal. Just presence. And sometimes, presence says more than any headline ever could. Shanghai is a city that remembers. It holds history in its skyline, ambition in its streets, and reinvention in its rhythm. It is where careers are sharpened and narratives are rewritten. For Wang and Shen Yue to arrive here together, years after their paths first intertwined, feels less like coincidence and more like a chapter choosing its own setting. This is not the Shanghai of their beginnings. This is Shanghai as a crossroads. Both have changed. Wang now carries the weight of global recognition, his name no longer attached to a single role but to an evolving identity shaped by risk, experimentation, and relentless growth. Shen Yue arrives with a quiet confidence earned through endurance, having navigated the industry with sincerity intact despite constant scrutiny. They are no longer rising stars. They are forces that know their footing. And yet, when they are mentioned together, time bends. The in 2026 is not built on spectacle. It is built on atmosphere, on shared spaces, unscripted interactions, and moments that unfold without instruction. Bringing them into that environment in Shanghai amplifies everything. The city hums with movement, but inside the inn, time slows. That contrast is deliberate. It allows truth to surface in fragments. Witnesses described nothing extraordinary at first glance. Arrivals, departures, familiar routines. But beneath the ordinary was something unmistakable, a sense of alignment, of two trajectories intersecting again, not out of necessity, but readiness. Shanghai does not tolerate hesitation. It demands intention. And intention is what this reunion carries. Their presence in the city reignited conversations that never truly ended. Not because fans are chasing fantasy, but because there is something unresolved in how their story paused rather than concluded. Shanghai, with its sharp edges and reflective surfaces, becomes the perfect mirror for that unfinished feeling. Here, they are not sheltered by nostalgia. They are confronted by the present. Shared schedules mean shared spaces. Shared spaces invite shared moments. And in a city that thrives on movement, stillness becomes noticeable. A brief exchange, a passing smile, a familiarity that does not ask permission to exist. The power of this moment lies in its restraint. There are no declarations, no dramatic framing, no promises made to the audience. Just two people occupying the same city, the same project, the same season of their lives. And that is enough, because the end does not force narrative. It reveals it, slowly, naturally, without distortion. Shanghai adds another layer to that reveal. Its scale reminds us how small individuals can feel within it, and yet how significant their choices become when observed closely. For Wang and Shen Yue, Shanghai is not about revisiting the past. It is about standing firmly in the present while acknowledging that some connections do not disappear simply because time passes. They transform. They mature. They wait. And perhaps that is what makes this moment resonate so deeply. It is not loud. It is not rushed. It does not ask to be believed. It simply exists. As filming continues and days blur into nights beneath Shanghai's lights, one truth becomes clear. This city is not hosting a reunion for nostalgia's sake. It is witnessing a meeting of two evolved selves who once shared a beginning and now share a space again, without fear of what that might awaken. Whether this chapter becomes a footnote or a turning point is not for the audience to decide. But one thing is undeniable. When Wang and Shen Yue arrived in Shanghai for the in 2026, the city did what it does best. It held the moment, and the world felt it. And as the days in Shanghai unfold, the atmosphere around them begins to change in ways that are impossible to script. The city does not slow down for anyone. Traffic moves. Lights burn through the night. Schedules remain unforgiving. Yet within that constant motion, there are pockets of stillness where something quieter takes shape. Inside the inn, Shanghai feels distant. The noise softens. Time stretches. And in that space, presence becomes unavoidable. What becomes clear very quickly is that this is not a reunion driven by nostalgia. Nostalgia looks backward. This moment stands firmly in the now. Wang and Shen Yue arrive each day not as reminders of what once was, but as individuals who have lived separate lives and bring those lives fully into the same room. That is where the tension comes from. Not romantic tension, but emotional gravity. Shared history does not demand attention, yet it quietly influences everything. A joke lands differently when there is context behind it. A pause carries meaning because silence once existed comfortably between them. The familiarity is not loud. It is woven into the way they occupy space without hesitation. Shanghai amplifies this subtlety. In a city built on reinvention, past versions are constantly being shed. Old neighborhoods transform. Skylines evolve. The city teaches those who live in it that growth does not erase origin. It builds upon it. That lesson mirrors what unfolds between them. There is no attempt to recreate old dynamics. No effort to perform closeness. What emerges instead is respect shaped by distance and understanding sharpened by time. They listen differently now. They respond with patience. The ease is earned, not assumed. Observers begin to sense that something has shifted, not between them alone, but within the narrative itself. This is no longer a story about unresolved feelings or unanswered questions. It becomes a story about alignment. About two people who no longer need clarity from the outside world to feel grounded in their interactions. The inn captures this quietly. Shared meals feel unforced. Conversations wander naturally. Laughter arises without anticipation. And when silence returns, it does not feel heavy. It feels complete. Shanghai, in all its scale, becomes a silent witness. The city has seen countless stories intersect and separate within its boundaries. Some fade. Some transform. Some pause only to resume later in unexpected forms. This reunion does not demand to be labeled as any one of those. It exists comfortably in ambiguity. And perhaps that is its strength. That choice alone carries meaning. As filming for the inn 2026 continues, the city's lights reflect off glass and water, mirroring the layers of history, growth, and possibility present in this reunion. Shanghai does not provide answers. It provides atmosphere. And atmosphere is where truth often reveals itself, without effort. Whether this chapter leads to something new or simply affirms something enduring, it does not ask for interpretation. It invites observation. And in that observation, one thing becomes clear. In Shanghai, with all its movement and meaning, Wang and Shen Yue are not reliving a past. They are standing fully in the present. And that, quietly, changes everything.